We are ready.
Oh, hold on. Got it.
So, all right, we will call this meeting to order at 7:04. Everyone is in attendance except Marina. It will be excused this evening. And Mike Brendel is not here. Hello, Chris. The new Mike. So. So the new Chris. So with that, Pledge of Allegiance, flags are here. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mission statement: Viroqua schools will nurture excellence, unlock potential, and ignite passion. Committee reports. We have policy with Dana. You ready? I'm ready. I'm got 2 minutes.
Okay, so first reading, we have for approval, revised policy 2131, educational outcome goals and expectations. This policy is updated to include the additional language added by the 2023 Wisconsin Act 266, which amends Wisconsin Statute 118.01 to include reference to among Americans and Asian Americans. Policy 5200, attendance. This policy, again revised, this policy has been revised to add additional instances of excused absences as recommended by state law. Policy 5460 is graduation requirements revised. This policy is revised to reference the newly enacted 0.5 credit requirements in financial literacy for high school graduation. Policy 8500, food service. The food services. This policy is updated to streamline the dietary accommodations language and to reference the appointment of a special dietary accommodations coordinator as required by regulations. The policy 8510, 8540, and policy 8550, they are all updated the same. The policies updated to include the policies are updated to include the Department of Agriculture's required non-discrimination statement. The policy 0164, meetings. This revision includes options relating to closed session virtual attendance by board members. Policy 2340, district sponsored trips. This policy revision adds optional language regarding school-sponsored international field trips and considerations that must be taken into account. In addition, the transportation policy language for policy 8640, the transportation for field and other district-sponsored trips, has been added to this policy, and policy 8640 has been rescinded. Policy 3120.04, employment of substitutes, and policy 4120.04. These revisions are recommended, employment of substitutes. These revisions are recommended for a more comprehensive policy consistent with current demands. Policy 3120.08 is employment of personnel for co-curricular and extracurricular activities. This revision clarifies and provides decisional options for the hiring personnel for co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Policy 3431 and policy 4431 for employee leaves. These policies have been revised to broaden and clarify the instances where leave will be granted for employees subpoenaed to testify in matters related to district employment. Policy 4162, controlled substance and alcohol policy for employees that transport students, has been rescinded to 8601, or renumbered to 8601, which 8601 is controlled, is the policy that has been renumbered. Policy 8601. This puts the policy in the same policy area as other transportation related policies and therefore easier to locate for reference. Got that?
I think that's for district administrators when they're talking amongst themselves.
100%.
Yes. Policy 5330, administration of medication and emergency care. This policy is revised to include options of students receiving non-prescription drugs and that are provided by the school consistent with the school supplies. Parental instructions and dosage instructions. The policy 5430 class rank. This policy is updated to incorporate the class ranking requirement districts must implement for students to participate in the University of Wisconsin System Guaranteed Admission Program. Policy 5505 academic honesty. This policy is revised to incorporate concerns regarding emerging AI technology and its impact on academic integrity. Policy 5610, suspension and expulsion. This policy is revised to include optional language for the board to express preference for non-exclusionary discipline. Policy 5610.03, alternatives to expulsion and reentry. This policy, this is a new one. This policy is offered to address the common practice of providing students with the opportunity to avoid the expulsion hearing process in circumstances where administration determines it is appropriate to offer a reentry plan with conditions designed to correct the behavior. This is a voluntary process that requires the students and parents of a minor student to agree to a set of conditions which, if adhered to, avoid the student's referral to the board or possible expulsion. Policy 5771, search and seizure. This policy is revised to make it easier to follow and to specifically note that a student search may be directed by an administrator other than the principal. Policy 6423, use of credit cards. The policy is revised to provide more specific restrictions on district credit card usage and personal use of any credit card rewards programs. Policy 5740.05, assistive technology and services. This policy is updated to address new technology being used with certain students as a way to communicate with them and to monitor their location and behavior. Policy 7544, the use of social media. This policy is updated to provide additional language to address the continuously evolving environment of social media and the potentially dangerous circumstances in which school staff interact with students through social media and related forms of electronic communication, example, athletic program team apps. Policy 8395, student mental health services. This policy is revised to account for the delivery of mental health services using virtual platforms in addition to face-to-face on-site delivery. Policy 8531, free and reduced meals. The policy is updated to incorporate additional federal regulatory requirements regarding the student participation in the free and reduced meal program and to add an option for districts that are part of the community eligibility provision, CEP, where by a district or specific schools within the district can obtain free meal eligibility for all students for a 4-year cycle if the school or district meets certain requirements. Policy 8600, transportation. This policy has been updated by adding language previously in policy 8680, transportation services contracts, and policy 8651, non-routine use of school buses regarding district-owned vehicles. Policy 8651 has been rescinded. Policy 8660, transportation by private vehicle for district-sponsored activities or trips. This policy has been revised, updated to provide additional options to better control private transportation for field trips, given that the need to do so continues to increase in frequency. And I believe this is the final one, policy 8680, transportation services contracts. A revised policy to remove reference to transportation using school district owned buses. This policy is intended to cover transportation through contracts with a transportation provider. The provisions regarding district owned or operated buses has been moved to policy 8600. That is the end of my report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Dana? Thank you. The next report is compensation. Kim?
Compensation has met at least twice, I believe, and we met last Friday and with the teachers union, and we hope to hear back from them and have hopefully we'll have a settlement, to bring to the next board meeting or to a special board meeting. So that's about it.
Thank you. Any questions for Kim? All right, we will move on to the consent. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you very much. Well, consent agenda, we have voucher summary, credit card, check summary, current policy 166.1 consent agenda. With that, we have approval of the agenda, proof of public notice, July meeting minutes, voucher summary one in the amount of $893,715.12. We have a retirement of Chris Fortney, bus driver for 50 years, and I just want to say thank you so much.
My bus driver. Was my kid's bus driver. So that is a full circle.
50 years. So I don't know.
Started at 18. Started driving when he was 18.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to say thank you exactly, but
It's the same.
thank you. That is impressive. What?
Memorial bus girl. There you go.
I mean, 50 years, that's remarkable. Think of what he has seen and heard. That's all that I can say to that. Resignation, Stephanie Ivy, PT intervention teacher for 3 years. Once again, thank you, Stephanie. It doesn't compare to 50 years, but we still thank you very, very much for 3 years. Appointments, we have Brian Swenson, bus driver, the 24-25 district staff handbook, the 24-25 parent student handbooks for elementary school, VAMs, high school and middle school, the 24-25 academic and career plan, and policy updates, which would be revised 2131 educational outcome goals and expectations, 5200 attendance, 5460 graduation requirements, 8500 food service, 8510 wellness, 8540 vending machines, and 8550 competitive food sales.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Would you give that second too?
Yeah.
Ken,
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
That's okay.
Ken, any questions?
I had just one thing, it's the finance piece that they have to have half a credit, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
personal finance. Yep.
Personal finance.
Yeah.
That's a state change, I believe.
That's
Yeah, but it's not
Yep.
for.
Yeah.
Couple
We've been doing it
years.
already.
Yeah,
We've been
yeah.
doing it.
Yep.
And my comment to this is I have seen the evolution of these handbooks and the cycle of them and greatly appreciate the consistency between buildings that we have now and referencing a policy versus printing all of it in some of the handbooks. That's a much easier read. I know that there's a lot of pages and I read through it. I also appreciate outlining exactly what the changes are so that we don't have to guess where those changes are. So thank you all for that. It's a huge undertaking.
Let it change
It's awesome.
from what it was when I started.
Exactly. It's
On that note, there's one proposed, or one additional proposed update that didn't make the document in time. In conversations today, there was a slight change to the 6th grade schedule section, so pretty minuscule, but I wanted to make note of that as well, because that will be updated in the book as well.
Thank you. So we will approve it with the corrections. With the corrections?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need to another motion to approve with corrections?
If it's okay, I will
You can amend your
Corrections.
motion. Yep.
The
I will
hand,
too.
and that
Yep.
was the middle school, high school handbook.
6th grade schedule.
6th grade schedule
Good.
corrections.
Yep.
And Kim, you
Yep.
second that?
Yep.
All right, any other discussion? Thank you for that. Any other discussion? Once again, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very, very much. The next item is voucher summary 2 in the amount of $283,030.01.
I move to approve voucher summary 2 in that amount.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And I abstain. The Item 7B, resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit by $1,300,000 per year for 3 years for non-recurring purposes.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit by 1.3 million per year for 3 years for non-recurring
Is
purposes.
there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'd really like to see it at 1.1, but I know I wouldn't get a second, so I'll just leave it as it is. It's very important this past.
I'd really like to see it at 1.5, but I will not make that motion.
We can talk about it later.
There we have it. With that, without discussion, all in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number C, a resolution providing for a referendum election on the question of the approval of a resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit by 1.3 million per year for 3 years for non-recurring purposes. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the resolution provided. Excuse me, I move.
Is there a second as presented?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information and discussion. We have the first reading of policies, and I will say Dana already, I could go ahead and read through all of these, but Dana already did. Are there any questions about these first readings? It's been very thorough.
Yep, we've been through them, we've read them, we've.
Dissected them.
Okay.
Most of them are legal.
Yeah.
Changes.
Change.
Most. Legislative.
Changes.
Sure.
Some might be
Most of them are law changes. I see where you were at, man. I was not getting that right away. Okay, yes, they're all legal changes. All right, yes, got it.
Well, I will say the credit card one was fascinating to me, that somebody would
Would
try
do
to
that.
open a credit card under the name of the school so that they could get the benefits of the credit cards, like
And that was not
mine.
here, for the record,
not
everybody
here.
online, this is in other instances. And then there was a recommendation to make that change. Did not happen here. Right, did not happen here.
Can you imagine Pat Selfie
Yeah,
with a credit card?
no.
That he opens
When
on
he's got
all the
all the
technology.
purchases and
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah,
those,
hashtag bonus.
getting those miles, yeah.
We better.
Yeah.
vote.
Yep.
Yeah, to vote on this. This is
No,
just
this
a
is just
draft.
just discussion.
So I would
Any
never say
other-
that Pat would ever do that. I was.
It'd be a lot of
There'd be just, there's a lot of, yeah, there's, you know, some of them that have a lot of, yeah, a lot of usage and obviously we don't want any one individual to gain personally from using a district credit card by getting those points or any other kind of cash back, any other incentive. Yep,
Hotels, whatever. it
Yep.
is. We do not do this.
nope.
Okay, donation of $250. $2,000 was donated from the Viroqua Foundation for pickleball nets. Thank you to the Viroqua Foundation for that.
And they've been used, they've been down there. People are using them.
That's what I understand, and now, courts for pickleball, so there you have it. District Administrator, it is August. Facilities update, August owners report, project updates, and the webpage.
Yep. So
We also have new professional staff orientation and staff and service.
we got a lot of good
I'm gonna
things
give you
happening.
all those things.
Yep. So right here, what you'll see is the owner's report. I'm just gonna kind of go down through. I think you can pretty much see all of the, you know, exterior improvements. We did have a couple of rain delays this last week that have slowed the progress of all of the asphalt. But they do have a second crew that they've brought in to make sure that they get it done in time. With the weather holds out the rest of this week, they will be done with all coats of asphalt by Thursday. Which is really incredible when you think of how much blacktop has been laid in this district the last few days. It's a lot. Other pieces, they are almost completely finished with the elementary school minus final clean. except for finishing the office area. So they did have a little bit of a hiccup with the wrong laminate being put on the front desk. And so they're just gonna keep it on site, and they've got other laminate coming in that they'll just put on right here. I like that a lot better than sending something back right now. I'd rather have it here. And then they're putting up glass, and that's about it. A few paint touch-ups in the elementary office. But overall, the elementary, we had staff in there today, a lot of staff in there today, doing a lot of movement and getting their room set up. And so that's great. In this building, the office area is almost ready to turn back over. There's some hallway flooring in one hallway, and three offices that are left. That's it. And so everything else is ready to turn back. In the two-story addition, there is dropping in ceiling tiles and flooring, and then that'll be done. So all of the cabinets are in, all the paint is done, all of the lighting's in, everything else is done. Again, when we're looking at this, we're talking about very short times. This is a piece where consistently I am reminded, I think I'm a handy guy at home until I go through and see how quickly the professionals do something and how well the professionals do something. So I'm reminded and humbled almost daily right now on, oh, wow, that wasn't there yesterday. Now it's there. That would have taken me weeks. But anyway, it's going very, very well. Things that aren't going to be done are things that we knew were not going to be done. Tech Ed Edition is still very much in the beginning stages. It's beautiful and a great space, but it is not going to be done by the time school starts. Other things that are not going to be done by the time school starts are small cosmetic pieces. If it is pertinent to us starting the school year, it will be done. It will not, things like the elementary school, we know that the orange does not match the red. We know, everybody hear me out there, that the orange does not match the red. The red will be painted a charcoal color. Some disagree with the charcoal. They think it should be black, but it will be a charcoal color. And the window frames will also be the same charcoal color, but that is not like standing in the way of us starting school. So that's not a priority right now. It'll be done sometime in September or early October. But it's not going to be done for the time school starts. The rest of it, yeah, Pat, I mean, anything else at the elementary? I mean, it's there. Yep.
Doors
Yeah.
that are, most are in, but get years.
Yep.
Things like that.
Just finishing up that punch list item.
Together.
It is. Yep. And then all of the bathrooms are done now in this building. They're just waiting for cleaning. So the final clean will be going, they started that today. So we really are in the home stretch, which feels really, really cool. So let's look at, go ahead.
So, let's put pickleball.
Not pickleball, Angie. My goodness.
So I do have a question about Tech Ed.
Yep.
Such a large space. It's a huge amount of stuff to pack up, put away. How is that? And I know it isn't ready. We knew it wasn't going to be ready. How is that working for the start of school and the Tech Ed department?
Yeah, so we will have access to 2 classrooms in the Tech Ed way. So that's gonna be good. So we're gonna be down over there, but we won't have access to the shop areas and things like that. So what we have saved are put into what they call C-cams. They're 20-foot long trailers that they can be moved throughout the district to keep those things safe and out of the elements. But to be honest, with where the budget came in, we were able to pretty much, replace almost every major piece of equipment in the Tech Ed, which is pretty incredible. Look at a lot of that equipment, like we talked about pre-referendum, a lot of that equipment was original from 70, 71. And so we got great use out of it, and I sure hope we can get the same longevity out of some of the newer equipment. From what I'm told, they don't make them like they used to. So just be ready for that. They're really, but it's really exciting to be able to provide that.
When will that be delivered then?
The new equipment is scheduled for delivery on October 15th.
Okay, so in that interim, like what's class?
Yep.
They have projects. that
So
they're-
they'll have some, but it'll be modified and a lot of them will be done in other spaces. So
Okay.
it's not gonna be the same kind of shop class until we can get into our shops.
Yeah, the construction class is gonna go off-site.
Yep, they'll go off site,
Sure.
some of those kind of things.
So-
Yep.
And the weather is nice that
Yeah,
time of year,
yeah.
but we don't have an automotive class at that time.
Well, and we set up our master schedule knowing this would happen.
Oh,
So we
I
just did
assume is
something
March, but just,
To make
Yep.
it as feasible as
just,
possible.
it's a question that's been brought to me and I just wanted it verbally
Yep.
being
So what
prepared.
about the elevator?
Elevator, right now, Kathy and I were talking earlier today about this, so we do have a delay in the elevator on that we still have the other lift on the other side of the school, but the one by the cafeteria. And that is one that we will, we can get a temporary elevator in there. It's a temporary lift within a small ramp. Issue comes in with now it delays getting the real elevator in because now you have to take that one temporary out. So it actually delays it by a week and a half, I think is what they said, Kathy, something like that. Yeah, longer than that by putting the temporary one in. Now, it's not on us to put the temporary one in. This was an issue with one of our subcontractors. This is not an us issue or even a Myron issue. But it does cause some issues. Now, we do have some alternatives and the only thing on that level is the cafeteria. So we are not talking about a main academic wing or something that, there's a required space to get to, anything like that. But it obviously is unfortunate and one thing that we will look to remedy as soon as we can. It's being manufactured right now. And they're gonna go drive up to Canada to get it. So they'll expedite that process as much as they can.
It's also, once again, nice outside. Many students eat
Oh,
in
yeah.
that commons
Yep.
area. Many students do eat in
Yep.
the picnic area. So
Yep.
it's not unusual for our students to not eat in the cafeteria. So hopefully that is a little bit, makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. All right. Here are some pictures over here, fourth grade wing on the left with some of the furniture in it. And so you can see some of the new desks. A little bit of orange around the rim is what they've decided throughout the district. Primarily because the flooring over in the middle school, high school, new classrooms is a gray. And so to do with a darker gray trim. And then to do a gray desk with gray trim with gray chairs was a lot of gray. And so we decided that they suggested, hey, a pop of color and that our color is orange if we want to add color. And so I think, in the end, I think that'll look really sharp throughout the district. Over to the right, you can see some of the cubbies. Now, this is a little bit of a narrower hallway, so I don't want this to skew your vision of this. This was the addition. If you look at the fourth grade wing and in the back of where the exit was, if you go straight through, it was just a regular hallway from the district office and it was a lot of dead space. And so we really wanted to make that not that. We wanted it to be usable space. And so they went from a double door over there. They had to replace the door anyway. So they went to a single door. I don't know if you've been through the elementary. It has plenty of exits everywhere. So we don't need to worry about egress or anything like that being limited. And what that was for a small group of students, it will be a little bit tight in that one corner, but the rest of it is not that way.
The diagonal flooring is really nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
and it covers up, if you do have a wall that's not straight, I don't know, they're building. So it covers that up really well. So on the left over here, you'll see prior to this, that awning was there, but it was all open and they had problems with birds for many, many years and bird poop getting everywhere. They put up fake owls to try to keep the other birds away and that didn't work.
It helped a little.
I might have helped a little. We decided to get rid of the owls and to actually put essentially a ceiling with lighting in here so that birds can't get up there. And so it looks way cleaner. And over to on the right, that's the new luxury vinyl tile flooring, again, instead of the diagonal. And that's going to be throughout any new flooring at the elementary is this wood look, anything we added. And it really adds until you're in there and we'll be in, the building shortly. It's a warmth, it's a cool, it's not so institutional, right? And does add something clearly to that. One of the pieces we were able to do was add new sinks and new tile to match all of the new bathrooms throughout the district at the elementary on the outside of those bathrooms. So all of the elementary bathrooms have the open kind of door concept. You can kind of walk around. But what that does is it ties all of those restrooms in with that little bit of an orange tile up on the top, and really did make it really sharp. But on top of that, we get rid of all of those really old, 1995 sinks. We have the new sinks in there. They're different heights, and they're going to be more usable for our students. Over to the right, we have the two-story addition. So all of the casework is in. This looks a little bit better today than this, as all of the ceiling grid is in and ready to drop in. But this is going to be the new E2 classroom. And over to the right, you can kind of see those windows there, and you're probably thinking, why are we having windows going into the rest of the building? But that's actually going to be a small kitchenette for our Montessori E2 and adolescent students to use, that will have an oven in there, has a sink in there, and is able to be used for food processing units and canning units and some of those things that they are a little bit more hands-on with in that upper Montessori. And then this looks very different on the left. All of the flooring is already in. All the ceiling tiles are pretty much in over in that receptionist area over here. We were a little worried that this was going to feel tight. And when you walk through it the first time right here, you will find out that that is not the case. It is a very long desk, and is able to accommodate both of our administrative assistants in that world. And then right up here, this is going to be Dan Brown, the activities director's office over there. I will say that due to a mix-up on some ordering, there is one floor in this district that did not get the right carpet or tile in, and it was Dan Brown's. And so the guy that has been bounced around quite a bit here in this process is also gonna not be able to totally move in for the next 4 to 6 weeks until that gets in. So he's gonna have temporary carpet just put down, not glued down, won't have any trim done, but he'll be able to operate out of there. And then we'll have to pick him up and move him a little bit so that we can throw that flooring in. On the right, we have the middle school, high school casework for the new nurse's office. Again, all of that flooring and the grid for the ceiling is also done in that space now. So this was 2 days ago, and they've done a lot in 2 days. Over here on the left is this is Steve's new office. I'm not jealous at all of a larger office and a larger window than what the superintendent gets. He'll be okay. It'll be all right. All the carpet is also done in this, and looks great. When we look over here, all of the bathrooms match this. So it's the same tile throughout all the restrooms. It's the same stalls or partitions. And it really looks great. What I really love is all of the restrooms are now ADA compliant, and that's going to be a really awesome piece for our students.
We've been talking about that for years, haven't we, Kim? And
Yep, and plus we got individual stall ones in between the restrooms, so.
Yep. You'll see here the new east view. This is the masonry veneer. So this is one thing that they wanted me to point out in the conversation today is oftentimes you see architects and construction managers try to match old brick. And it never looks right, just right? You can get close, but you can't get right on. And so we just wanted to say, kind of make it, hey, we want it to look good and complement, but we're not trying to match, right? And so it's a really large block, and it's a similar kind of sandy texture and color, but it is not trying to match that 1970 brick, which they took off brick by brick, by the way. I can't believe that that's the way that they did that, but that is. Over here, you can see this is part of the future wood shop space. So the wood shop more than doubled in size with the new space. And what we're looking at here is driving in from a bay that you can actually park a 26-foot tiny home in trailer inside. And so our students, when we get to the December, January months, can still continue to do those construction projects that we can't be outside and doing out in the community. On the left over here, you'll see a new, this is a metal siding that is super thick and super rigid, but it looks like wood. And that will be coupled with that masonry veneer here. So you'll have the lighter kind of sandy veneer here, and then have that contrasts it really well on the outside. And so the yellow is spray foam insulation. So that's our insulation on the outside and is very highly rated. New concrete walkway by the cafeteria doors. So that's coming up. You come on the backside by the greenhouses and walk up those steps. If you ever spent some time on that back stoop before, that one was in rough shape, really rough shape, where lots of cracks and heaving, and it doesn't look like that anymore. If you drive past the front of the elementary, you'll see that that fence is all done. The decorative fencing is up with only 2 walkways for our students and parents and staff to get through. What we really like about that is the safety of only having 2 possible points of crossing over traffic. And lots of, they call this the binder, which is kind of a base layer of asphalt. And then you put your finishing layers on top of that base layer. They had 70 construction workers on site today. They've had up to 100 at different points last week. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of work around here right now.
Somebody the cafeteria was the cafeteria. Was there any thoughts about a ramp there? I know it's too late now.
Yeah, we talked about it with some of the grade. It just wasn't in the cards.
Kind of
Yeah, the grade changes. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Viroqua is not flat. And so our site specifically, we got about 55 acres here, and every piece of flat will either have a building or a field. There is not a lot of, or parking lot, I guess, even if it's kind of flat, we put a parking lot. So yeah, there were some times where even on the backside, we were talking about doing some kind of a ramp kind of down by the backside of the weight room to get down, and they've just changed the kind of the slope there to be a nicer kind of walking and pedestrian path down there. But to try to put a sidewalk off to the side where that grade changes is almost impossible for a ramp. So, so we put them in where we can.
I don't know if this was part of the referendum or not, but at the end of the hall here, the stairwell that goes down, there's always been a chinking, I think that's the terminology, where it would bubble. The paint would bubble
Oh,
on
I'm
the
not
wall.
sure.
It's like a moisture. kind of-
On that the outside wall,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
outside wall.
the outside end wall, when you went
Yes.
at,
Okay.
that wall always
Where the
did.
pool is on
But
the
I
other side.
think I think that was fixed. I don't
Yeah,
think
I've
that
not
was
It was,
seen
it was fixed prior, but Kathy, do you remember? But I
I'm
don't
not
know if
sure.
it's been a problem in a few
We
years.
did the last
or not.
remodel,
I don't,
tried to address that outside wall.
Yeah,
But
Moisture was intruding.
yeah, it hasn't been
Right.
been up to me, so.
I don't think
I'm
that's been a problem since that
Okay.
was addressed. It was before.
gonna guess it's been addressed because it
Okay.
hasn't been brought up.
I thought it had, but when I was looking at this, I was curious. But it would bubble.
Yep.
I think that was coming through the blocks and it was also creating some mold issues.
Yep.
It did.
Yep.
But it was addressed before, like before.
Yep.
I just didn't. Okay.
Okay, any other questions on this one? All right. Okay, stop sharing then, and we can bounce on to my other reports. Tomorrow, we are having one of my favorite days of the school year. The admin team loves it when I say that because I say it often. It's really one of my favorite days. When we get our new staff and the energy that new staff automatically bring, we've tried to break up that new staff orientation. If you can think of your first day at any job, right? You are drinking from the fire hose, you're trying to take everything in, and there's just so much. So we've tried to build in some, not so much, I'm gonna throw info at you. Even though that's, logistically, we still need to have some of those conversations. But really, we're talking about how do we make sure that our new staff understand that they were brought here for a reason and that their skill set should change Viroqua area schools for the better, right? And so that's really been our focus and our priority. I'm excited that Chris gets to walk through that with us tomorrow. I'm really, really excited to bring in it is a smaller group than we've ever, had since I've been here. And so we've brought it, I think we'll have 5 total, including Chris. And that includes 2 staff members in addition that were already in their roles at the end of last year. So we had one mid-year hire for band, and then one that started as a long-term sub in Montessori E2 that ended up doing it the full year. And so we talk about that. That's not a lot of turnover, and it's not a bad thing, but it is have a small group, and it'll be a great time tomorrow. Part of that includes a world famous Reed tour. So that includes Kathy Reed going around the district on one of our brand new school buses, and we will go ahead and introduce our new staff to Viroqua, and we'll point out different landmarks in town. There may be some random stories about how Kathy had a childhood experience in this particular area, and but it's really a great time, and we've had great feedback from everybody that has taken the famous Reed tour.
The Brendel Reed tour.
Yep, it was the Brendel Reed tour, and we probably could get the Brendel Reed tour back. And then we will do lunch, and then we'll also do lunch with the board on Wednesday. So you guys are invited to that. We usually do pizza. Are we still doing pizza on that day? Yep. And it's really an incredible couple of days. They also do a scavenger hunt where they have to essentially, with their mentors, go find different places throughout campus and document that they have found that in fun ways. So it's really a fun 2 days. And then the following week, we have our staff in service. And we have done a couple of things differently this year, and a couple that we're really, really excited about. One is we're trying to minimize as many back to the school year meetings as possible for our staff, especially knowing how many staff members are moving into new spaces and some of them that can't get into them yet. And that causes lots of stress, and we totally understand that piece. For example, in the elementary, I think there are 4 total teachers or staff members that are not. And so there's a lot of movement right here. And so with that being said, again, trying to give our staff as much time in that back to school to get their spaces set up and comfortable. With that being said, on the Tuesday, so Monday and Wednesday, we're going to really try to back off. We typically would do a lot of back to school pieces. We do a lot of, meetings and things to make sure logistically we're all on the same page, and hey, here's what we're working on this year, those kind of things. We're still going to do those, but we're going to do those more in short video updates that staff can watch when they can, right? That still get the pertinent information out, but it's not, hey, we're sitting down and talking about this for an hour, right? And then on Tuesday, we are meeting with our 5 local county school districts for the first time over in Westby. I know. We're going to Westby, and we're gonna do some collaboration over there. But we're really excited about the opportunity to collaborate with individuals. So our 3rd grade staff will be able to meet with the 3rd grade staff from throughout the county, identify issues that they're experiencing, identify solutions to some of those issues that other districts have had success with, and really start that collaboration and networking with those that are in like positions. On top of that, it allows us to pool our resource and bring in higher quality professional development. And so we've got Jason Katecki, who is a national speaker, which again, we don't have the opportunity to bring in if it's just for Viroqua on our budget. But hey, cost sharing for individuals for 1/5 of that or prorated for the number of teachers is a lot easier for us to bring in some higher quality names. And so he's going to be talking to us about a couple of things. He's a famous artist and motivational speaker. And so is really going to be talking about a couple of things, but truly just talking about how we can not put so much pressure on ourselves. There's a lot of pressure on educators right now. Some of it is due to the system, some of it is due to administrative decisions, but a lot of it we're putting on ourselves to be, obviously we want to be the best educators we can be, but some of this is some things that we can take off of our shoulders. That isn't all the responsibility of our teachers. And then in the afternoon, we're bringing in Shelley Severson, who is the superintendent up in Black River Falls, but is also a rep for the Orange Frog. And so the Orange Frog is a positive psychology piece that essentially is talking about resilient practices. And so she's not coming in to say, hey, staff, go and be happy. That's not what this is. It's essentially to say, hey, our jobs are really stressful. Your job is really stressful. And here are a few practical things that have been proven to help. Not, again, hey, go and figure out how to be happy. That's not the message at all, and quite the opposite. And so we're really excited about those two opportunities that we, again, would not have had we not had this collaborations time. And I do think it's going to be the springboard into longer term partnerships with our local schools. We don't want to lose our identity, right? And what sets us apart from other schools, but we also want to capture efficiencies whenever possible. And that's really what this is about. And to allow collaboration, across districts. Any questions on that? Awesome.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And we all know that it takes a ton of planning to organize something like that. So thank you to everyone that was involved in planning those events that will be beneficial to our staff.
Mhm.
Administrator reports. We have back to school, fall activities, para training, and jumpstart. Who would like to begin?
Me, I want to start. Para training, this is our third year of para training. Really excited about it. We used to bring our paras in and each teacher was expected to kind of train them. And so it was kind of trial by fire. And we decided that they needed more. They're one of the most important groups that we have in the staff because they're working with the most difficult students that we have. So this year we're bringing in Chalita Shine. Chalita is a company in La Crosse that has the highest needs students, some residential. And Chalita Shine is a new program for them that does outreach within the schools and within families and in the homes. We've worked with them a little bit over the last year. And they're coming in to do some intensive behavioral training with our paras on learning. And then we will be doing some more med training, and we'll be doing the new paras will be able to meet with the business office and get some of those nitty-gritty pieces. So we're really excited that we started it a few years ago. 3 years ago, this is our third one. We've had good feedback, and I've also been able to, I think, maintain and retain some of our paras as well. So they're coming in ready, excited to be here. And Tom went around and asked other school districts how many paras they had. We have 19 or 20, and special ed paras. That's not counting some of our other areas like the library and things like that. But some of the other schools had 5.
Yep.
So we are very, very fortunate to have the quality that we have, and the numbers that we have. So excited about that. We wanted to give them all of the tools for their toolbox that we can. So our teachers some of them will come in, they're invited to come. But that will be a day just with our paras in focus. excited about that.
So are you saying other districts can't fill positions?
Well, there's a little bit of that, you know, some financial pieces. We're a bigger school, we have more numbers. And it's all based on need. So.
Yeah, and just to, it wasn't, this was just a conversation where others were sharing and asking, how many paras that we had, and I think it shows, the support that we're able to provide both our students and our staff, which is really, it certainly is, a piece that we are appreciative of. But it's also a piece that is, something that we can look and identify and go, yep, this is, not needed or anything like that. This is a piece where, we're meeting the needs of our students, via a very talented group of individuals. And we're really excited about the work that they're doing.
Being the county seat also attracts people
Yep.
because the other services are
Yes.
in Viroqua, so
Yep.
that
Absolutely.
brings many of those families here.
Yep.
Thank you. That's great. Wonderful initiative that you created. Who would like to go next?
Oh, I'm so red.
That makes sense.
And I'll keep it brief. Yeah, Tom spoke of all the awesome things for our teachers coming back, new teachers in service next week. Staff at the elementary building had access today, and so there were a lot walking around at first, and then kind of we've got a lot of stuff to run back and get going, it's exciting to see. And I can't wait for all the staff and community and parents and kids to see to be in that space. I mean, our kids deserve it, our staff deserve to teach in these spaces. It's awesome. It looks like a brand new building, which is really exciting. We've got 266 students as of right now. That changes. That seems like every day somebody's moving in or moving out at the traditional elementary school, and 148 at Montessori. That's the total for both buildings. We plan to have Jumpstart, which is for our 4K incoming 4K students, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's not quite going to happen that way. It's as the parking lot's not finished, and there's finishing things up. So made the decision to move it to the morning after back to school night. Back to school night is the next Wednesday, and then the Thursday morning, so they can come meet their teacher, and then the next morning. They'll come in from 8 to 11. It's a nice way to ease into the building with, only about 30 kids there instead of 260 some. They can get to know their teachers, know where the classroom, bathrooms, lunchroom, kind of the lay of the land without all the kids there. So we'll just do one morning of that, and then be ready to go September 3rd. It's like Tom said, it's always we got till September 3rd, it's a long ways off, and all of a sudden it's here, and it's, oh my goodness, we got a lot to do. But it's also exciting to have staff back. Get rolling, do what we do.
Is the back to school night gonna offer the kids opportunities to like how is it gonna be handled for kids moving, like learning where the new spaces are and like tours of whatnot? How is that all working out?
Yep, we'll have classroom teachers will be in their classrooms. We'll have all the extra staff available to give kind of walk around, navigate.
Or board members. Board members can also help with that.
True.
Yep.
I have 4 kids.
Some board members, some board members.
I'm just gonna
Yeah, and some of that is good.
I'll be navigating them.
Yeah.
We have done that,
Yep.
but we don't know where anything is.
Not right now. We can probably give you guys a private tour beforehand. You guys can probably.
I got 4 of them. You guys have the rest.
Yep. Not super difficult in the elementary. High school, I'll give you. It's
In high school, I might just end up in the dungeon.
there you go. All right.
Yeah, so for middle school, I always start my reports with a U-Hawks rock, and this time of year we continue to be reminded of how awesome our custodial staff is. I got to experience that firsthand today. As Tom mentioned, there are some spaces that our teachers aren't able to access yet. One of those groups is fifth grade, who are moving over to where the Montessori classrooms were. The Montessori classrooms have now moved upstairs, the E2 classrooms, so that they're all kind of together. So I was helping them move some furniture today, and I am rehydrating. I'm going to be nursing myself, I think, a little bit tomorrow. I'm going to be super sore, super appreciative of the work that they do. And one of the things I'd be really interested in seeing is just a map of the route that they had to take this year in trying to clean and wax the floors and get everything ready. More of a scatter plot than any kind of pattern that they would have picked for themselves. So just an amazing team of individuals doing incredible work amidst, all of the as the dust literally settles from all the construction that's happening. So a huge Hawks rock out to our custodial staff. I'll skip over the new professional staff orientation and the back to school in-service stuff because you heard information about it. Back to school night for the middle school will be similar to how it's been in the past. Not a whole lot of rooms are moving aside from fifth grade in the Montessori classrooms. So our teachers will be in their rooms. It is 2 hours long this year. In years past, it's been longer, but we felt like that was going to be a sufficient amount of time for families to come in. Where it's unfortunate that it didn't line up with the football party for us to do the tailgate and all the stuff that we did last year, but the middle school is having conversations, the district is having conversations about, how can we do a tailgate party gathering later on this fall yet, because that was such a cool experience and that we'd like to recreate for our families as well. Last spring, we had Garth Larson here and we talked at a board meeting about the work that the middle school did with Garth Larson about talking about the best first day, first week, best first month. And in those conversations, we looked at it through a few different lenses, the community, parents, students, and educators. And one of the things, the common things that came out of that work was wanting to have common and clear expectations of, what is it that we expect? What do we envision for the middle school and the place that we want to come to school? And what does that look like and how do we create it? So last spring, we engaged our students in those conversations about different spaces in our building. What does that look like? And we did worst best, which is a protocol that our adults use and our kids use it too, right? What's the worst experience in the cafeteria? What would be the best experience in the cafeteria? So they gave us the raw material for what they expect in those spaces. Our collab then this summer, I could have put a Hawks rock for our collab coming in during the summer to continue to do some leadership development. Also developing our we're calling the Hawk expectations, which is the draft. I don't know if it's going to stay Hawk or if it's going to be SOAR or something else. But the big thing is that we're setting those foundations, right? Common foundations, using the words of our students, using the words of our staff. So next Monday, we're going to be light as far as some of the logistics pieces, but we want to also remind our staff, refresh those conversations that we started in April last year with Dr. Garth Larson and reattend to that and make sure that we are doing those things that we need to do necessary in order to have that best first day week and month. So I gave you some samples as far as the visuals that we're creating with those Hawk expectations and more to come with that. I'm super excited to share with you guys in September how those first day, week, month conversations and the rollout of our Hawk expectations has gone. But that's going to be kind of the kickoff of our school year, the first month really focusing in more about the community and those expectations than jumping right into the academics because we know how important that community is.
Look forward to hearing more. That's all. Jason?
Yeah, so back to school and fall activities. So fall activities, as of today, every fall sport is now practicing because volleyball and cross country both started practices today. Tennis has its first competition at home tomorrow, I believe. And the weather's supposed to be great. If anybody wants to come out to it. Talking to different coaches, there's a variety of numbers. Football coaches would always love more. On the flip side, I believe Katie told me volleyball currently has 55 girls out for volleyball, which is kind of busting at the seams. So
Any of them want to play football?
Well, and sometimes we get a shift to, at different times, especially with some of the other ones, we can shift to even tennis and golf. At different times too. Although both tennis and golf tend to, it has to be a quick shift because tennis and golf starts so early. So, but it's just great to see the kids active. I think, and we have the construction inside that we're noticeable about, but even like football's been practicing for a while. Just to get around to practice in different areas and to get to where the equipment you need is where you want to practice. They've been very flexible. Because as you know, with the grass football field, you can't practice on that every day. That will go bad rather quickly. And some of the practice field hasn't been as available as it has in the past probably. So they've been very good and flexible with that. As far as back to school, we're also working, our whole high school staff is working at what that first day is gonna look like. And we started developing a schedule already in the spring. As far as we're gonna send them around to a few different stations and we're just trying to get it off to that good start to the year. We have new teachers coming in tomorrow and Wednesday. We also, Ms. Schneider hosts new students Wednesday afternoon. Once we have the new teachers out at 2, I believe the new students will be taking the place at 2:15 in the same location. Because we're a little bit limited right now still with some locations to do some bigger groups. Similar to staff at the high school, probably compared to like previous years. I don't know if we have as much movement as far as students this year. Our current ones coming in compared to ones going out, we won't have a huge crowd for new students. We're still probably looking at +5, +6 as far as coming in to going out. Foreign exchange kids won't be here yet this week. They're all flying in the same day next week, so they'll probably come open house night. But
How many do we have?
we have 3. We have 2 that'll be for the full year and 1 will just be first semester. And they're all with families that have previously hosted. Some families pretty much host every year if they can. So we're going with those, and we always work throughout the summer on approving those, and the foreign exchange companies are pretty decent for me to deal with because I am pretty much a stickler when it comes to English skills and even grades a little bit to some degree. They will always send me a message saying, we really appreciate how thorough you are, type of thing. And then we usually come to an agreement, because, honestly, for a student, and, it's probably somewhat of a compliment to our district, you're not gonna be able to roll in here with really subpar English school skills and probably not struggle some, coming in. And even a lot of times, your foreign countries, your English, it's more of an academic English. If anybody tried to learn English as a second language, you'd realize there are some rules with English language and there's a lot of exceptions with the English language and there's a lot of slang that is used. So if you're trained in a very academic English, it can be quite an adjustment, no matter if you're a strong student or not. So yeah, we're working through all that, and we have our temporary office set up that we just keep. Steve joined us today because Pat moved out, so we had an opening.
How many do you have in there right now? 4?
We have 4 because we moved Jenny across the hallway so she could meet individually more confidential with students. So we have 4, but we like Steve and I can't see each other because the mailboxes are in between us too.
That doesn't stop it.
And they put those up high. Yeah, I was joking. Pat asked me if I missed him and I said, Pat was a lot quieter than Steve was.
Surprising.
Pat, we just didn't even notice he was there most of the time, going in and out. And the secretaries are between us all, so they can see, both of them can see each of us. We just can't see each other. But we'll see when we can move out of that. If Sarah Tungson's watching, hey, thanks for letting us use your room. You may not know that we are, type of thing.
Be out of there as soon as they can.
We're not gonna stay longer than we have to, type of thing, but we've moved around, and even like Steve said with the custodial, I think Lori said, all the high school floors are waxed. Because anytime we didn't have somebody using a room for summer school, we grabbed it. And usually that was the room I was in. So I moved like 4 or 5 times this summer until I got on the carpet, and now I've been there the rest of the summer. So, but they've been doing great as just far as, hey, what can we get in, especially during the summer school time, because the custodians, they knew what the end of summer was gonna look like. They're like, what can we do? What rooms, especially if we can get a couple next to each other, what can we get into? What can we get started on? So, yeah, so it's a great thing that we have a longer summer.
Thank you. It's almost over. Couple weeks. Almost there. We have board reports. Vicky said there's not been much in the way of meeting.
I have not heard much from Laurel. I think they have a meeting next Monday. I think. I looked at some old minutes, but I will catch up with Renee. I won't make it to that, but I'll get an update for next week.
So they were working on a handbook or something last time
Yeah.
that you had spoken with them. Then Kim, any VAMs update?
They did not meet in July, and they meet tomorrow night, and I won't be at the meeting, but Pat knows that, and he'll be there.
Okay. Pat, did you have anything to add to that? Jason, did you have anything to add to oral?
No, I was telling Kathy, sometimes I try to convince Renee to take some time off, because otherwise Renee's the type, she's so dedicated to her students that she's here all the time, so. But yeah, she was emailing me again today, so she's back in the flow of things. Wondering if the room is put back together, so I'll run up there afterwards to see. So.
Great, thank you. Look forward to updates whenever they may happen. WASB and legislative updates. CISA 4 sent out administrative report. School-based mental health service grant, approximately $31 per pupil under Act 19. It's based on the 22-23 revenue limit, funded on an annual basis, unless it's changed in the future by legislators, which I always love how that states. It's intended to support student mental health in the year of the family provided, the year that the funding, is provided. Viroqua will receive $34,717.57. And all of the school districts are receiving funding through that, unless it changes, like I said, legislatively. Board exam results were released. There have been changes in the English and math academic standards. As a result, the data from this year's test cannot be compared to previous years.
What else you guys love that?
I just thought I'd share that out loud since I knew that would get a bit of a chuckle. And with
I think
the,
I've given you guys that disclaimer before, but yes.
I just thought I'd share it again. With the passing of Senator Herbert Poole, which was just an amazing advocate of K-12 education, and there used to be scholarships that were given. Those scholarships are not going to be given anymore, and the funding is now going to be used for, they call it vocal champions, and in the field of education. So vocal champions, I don't exactly know what that means, but I am assuming it means something to legislate for K-12 education, but that is just my assumption. But vocal champions is the way it was worded. So that's what I have from them. I also wanted to remind everyone that there is that meeting that's going to be in Sparta. I will not be attending. I looked at the agenda. The agenda is sparse, as it has been in the past. I don't feel very strongly at all that our board gets anything out of that meeting. It's things that we already know. But if you want to attend, please let Beth know. But I will not be attending. A couple of things that were in the school news. One is expanding horizons, and this is Polar VR virtual reality allows users to experience what it's like to conduct research in the Arctic. And this article is really interesting how schools are virtually doing research in the Arctic. And it's collaborative virtual reality is what it's called, and it's through Wisconsin libraries. So I really thought that was fascinating. And then the other article that I enjoyed was Flying High, and it's youth group in Washington County, and they're building planes, and there's this kit. It talks about the aviation industry. They're facing significant shortages in pilots, mechanics, and traffic controllers. And in Kettle Moraine, youth aviation provides excellent opportunities for young people to develop an awareness of aviation and related career opportunities. There's kids that come out, and it's done after school. It's not something that's done during school. And they actually build airplanes and they fly them. So I thought those were two very fascinating. We do have an airport here. I didn't know if that was something that there are mentors that are involved in that, or if there were students that were interested in something like that. I don't know the cost. I don't know any details. I'm just not sure that in that article, but those were some very interesting initiatives.
Yeah, I do want to just point out with the mental health funding, while we appreciate, $32 per student, I think everyone can kind of understand that you are not going to solve the mental health crisis that we have on our hands for $31 or $32 per student. So while we again appreciate anything, because $31 or $32 a student is better than zero, we are not scratching the surface of this problem with that kind of funding. And so we are going to continue to advocate for more in that pool of money, and continuing to give schools the flexibility to use that money as they need to, as each district, depending on size, has so many different needs. And so some of them are using it to put in more infrastructure for virtual counseling. Some of it are using it to bolster their current mental health supports within what they're already doing, and bolster those. But again, with that kind of funding, it's not like we're talking about earth shattering or anything that is going to be even probably measurable in that particular movement. I'd love to see it make a difference. Obviously, every little bit helps, but it's not going to be something that until we actually commit and get funding for that, there's really not a piece where we have it within our budget to provide the services that need to be provided to our students.
And people trained.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yep.
Well, there's a
Shortage.
pipeline. When you start
Right.
something, then you start a training process, and
Right.
people know that they can have a career in a certain area. And
Right
if the
now-
legislators can take that money away after 2 years.
Yep.
Even at $31 per student, now, once again, you can't continue a program that you started, and that's, it's unfunded.
Right.
Great.
And
Yep.
so that's the whole other side of it. So if you're going to fund it, then
Yep.
fund it, make it a commitment to fund permanently, so that people, students can expect, districts can expect to have resources, extra funding resources to try to assist for students.
Absolutely. So yeah, it was more of a statement than anything, but I just think it's, again, appreciative, just not, we're not done yet. Let's put it that way.
And the other thing I want to remind everyone, Wednesday, August 21st, there's lunch with the professionals. It's from 12 to 1, High School Commons Patio. Let Beth know if you will be attending. Wednesday, August 28th is the parent back to school night from 5 to 7. Please let Beth know if you're going to be attending. Thursday, August 29th, elementary ribbon cutting. That's from 5 to 7. I'm assuming the ribbon cutting will begin at 5.
The ribbon cutting will be at 5. Short short, I don't even know, we're gonna call them speeches, Pat. What are we gonna, we're welcome. We will have a short welcome by Pat and myself, and then followed by just tours. As we get enough people with administrators, board members, we will go on to building tours where we can show you, some of the new features and some of the new things that we have for our students and staff.
If you're going to be attending, please let Beth know. And then we also have the fall regional 6 meeting in Sparta. Once again, please let Beth know if you're gonna be attending 9/16. And is there going to be a ribbon cutting for the middle school?
Yep, but we are gonna wait until after the tech ed is done. We didn't feel that we wanted a ribbon cutting and an open house between two buildings. We felt that would be a lot of crossover and a lot of traffic. And then this building is totally done and a lot of people are gonna wanna see that tech ed. So we're waiting until that's done. Probably looking at a few, even a little bit after that, probably looking into early November. Yep.
So, Tom, that big windfall for mental health, how are you planning, how's Viroqua planning on spending that, or are you not?
Yeah, we're in the process of kind of fleshing that out right now. We've got a piece with the Mental Health Guiding Coalition is definitely going to be using some of those funds for some things like screeners, and so that we can get help in identifying students that need additional supports, as well as continuing to bolster our funding for student services that Kathy's crew provides to our students. So it's going to be a multifaceted approach. There's so much money there that we can split it up. Anyway, that's sarcasm. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Put it early in.
Yep, that'd be great. But we're going to use it appropriately.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
next couple of weeks before.